People are not broken, they adapted to survive. Welcome to the Way Out of Childhood Trauma with Barb Wartzel-Smith.
Welcome on next episode of Way Out of Childhood Trauma. And today is here with me Amy Haydak, and she's the clinical social worker, but she's also a long-time trauma therapist, and she's working with the parents to help them to help their children to break the cycle of the trauma. So I'm very pleased that she is a guest on our podcast when we looking on the ways how to get out of childhood trauma and when we can get from it in childhood. That's the best what we can do with it. So welcome, Amy.
Thank you. Thank you. Happy to be here.
Thank you.
All right.
So Amy, what brought you to choose this path on your work?
You know what? I feel like so many people have such a clear answer to that question. I'm not really sure, but I am very grateful and blessed to actually be here. I just remember starting college, there was a professor who inspired me to be a social worker. I actually was going in for a different major, and he inspired me to be a social worker. I had no idea what it was or what you did, but ultimately it led me to be able to work with children, to be able to work with families. I originally did not want to go into trauma. That seemed overwhelming and very scary. But what I realized is that working with children and families in a social work therapy world, you're in trauma. That is, I mean, every case that was coming in was pretty much trauma, and I had no idea what to do with it. Know what to do with parents, didn't know why it was happening, nothing. So I didn't like not having control of it. I didn't like not knowing what to do with these families or how to help these kids. So it inspired me to actually get trained, to get certified, to, do the research, to be knowledgeable. And that was going on, that was over 10 years ago now, maybe even more than that. But that kind of inspired me to actually, I remember the one little girl who inspired me to actually say, I need to know more about this. I remember her clear as day and her story, and it started, and I am so grateful I did. So the majority of my career, the children were technically the clients, right? But when you're working with children, you are working with the whole family. And in that time, and I was working in their homes. So it's not like they came to my office and, they had the curtain and they hid some things. I was in their homes, and it's hard to hide things when you are going into the space, which was such a blessing about the type of work that I did, is you got to see the full dynamic. And what I noticed was that that's when I realized the generational cycles, and it was just years upon years upon years, and they aren't being broken. And you can see the children following the same path because of such unhealed trauma, the inner child wound from the generations, right? So I had my own children, and then the idea of generational trauma hit so much differently. I'm working with these kids, and I felt it so differently, and I was like, man, am I really doing the right thing here? Because it just shifts. It's, what you learn and what you research and what you train is different than real life. It's 100% different. It hits the heart differently. So I expanded and I grew, and I was like, I love working with the kids, but I think I can do a whole lot more with the parents now that I am a parent and I feel it and understand it differently. So I started my own private practice. So I am virtual. I'm able to practice in the state of New Jersey. So anyone in New Jersey, I can see virtually. So I started there, expanded there, and most of my clients have experienced trauma. The majority of my clients are mothers wanting to break that generational cycle. It's interesting because a lot of women don't know that they've had trauma when they come to therapy. And I'm the first person to tell them that what they experienced was trauma, and what you're seeing in your children is a result of that generational cycle. And there's so much healing that comes from just saying it, from recognizing what it is, being able to say it out loud, the validation. So that to me brings a lot of joy that it stinks. We got to say, hey, you had some trauma, but I love being able to help people. And then I realized that I know coaching has been around for forever, but I'm a little late with the times. So I finally realized
something new.
It came about, right? I'm not big into social media and stuff, so I don't know about it, but now you kind of have to. So now I'm trying to expand into the coaching world where I have a Facebook group called Parenting with Purpose. So I have I think over 450 women in there that I'm trying to just bring in the education and bring in as much healing as I can at a broader space. I want to do workshops. I want to do speaking engagements to really bring in the knowledge and the awareness and the skills that parents can do. So that was very long. I'm a long-winded person, but I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's actually just showing the very much alignment and what you're doing. Accidentally, I kind of came up with the same way as name the thing what I'm doing with parents. It's parenting with purpose. So I will have to rename it. You already have it, but
That's okay. I think I'm probably not the only person. There's like there's a semicolon and other stuff after it. So it's it's
yeah,
fine.
yeah. But I think that it's exactly about that. And when also to me coming the parents, both women and men, and realizing how their behaviors affecting their children, and then they like really kind of surprised, quite often realizing that that behavior they have is a result of their own trauma, which is not resolved, and very quite often, yeah, they don't recognizing that it was trauma, what it is, what their actions are, and how they and the main thing which I see, and probably you too, is that like what is normal? Is it like we always like comparing like what is the normal, how I was brought up, and then like I'm doing so much for them and it's still they are still not happy, but but that's not about what is normal, but about the needs. So what is what is kind of the things which you see more often with the parents that they um maybe are source of trauma, or like not want to, like not that one big one we saw, like this kind of unconscious like that behaviors which leading to that children are traumatized.
I think there's so much people, especially emotional abuse. When parents have grown up with emotional abuse, the fight or flight. I love polyvagal theory. I love giving that education of like your brain is responding exactly the way it's supposed to respond based on the way it was developed. So that childhood developmental trauma, parents basically, as children, dissociate, right? They dissociate their feelings. There's certain feelings that were rewarded, there were certain feelings that were punished, and you learned how to survive. You adjusted the way you thought, the way you felt, the way you behaved to avoid whatever was coming at you. So that develops, these maladaptive coping skills develop into being a teenager, and it develops how you feel about yourself and how you interact with others, the type of people you attract to you, especially if you are, um, seeking that validation and that love and the self-worth, and you're seeking it in the wrong places, right? So that is just a cycle that continues. So when you become a parent and you don't know how to connect, you don't know how to show healthy feelings because they were punished, where they weren't allowed, or whatever the case may be. We have to rewire the brain, which is what's wonderful about the nervous system, is that you can. It's not, they're like, so what? I tell you about my trauma. Why do I have to open up that wound again? What's the purpose? I tell the story of, let's pretend you're riding your bike. Let's pretend you're a kid, because again, most of my earlier work was with kids. So I said, let's pretend you're riding your bike. Mom and dad said, don't go ride your bike. You're not allowed out of the house. You go anyway. You get into like a gnarly crash, right? You jack your leg up real bad. It's bleeding. It's ripped open, right? You have a couple options. You can go home, which mom and dad are going to be mad. You broke the rules, right? And then they're going to be upset and scared that your leg is really bad. That's going to be uncomfortable. That's going to stink. Well, now you got to go to the hospital. And now they got to clean it out. Ouch, burn, hurts, right? Now they got to stitch it up. Ouch, ouch, ouch. Ultimately, you come home. And mom and dad are still mad, but they get over it. So that heals a little bit, right? Your scar, now it's healing. It's uncomfortable. It hurts a little bit, heals a little bit more. It's itchy, a little less uncomfortable. Ultimately, you get to the point where you look down and you see that scar and you remember the pain and you know that it's there, but it no longer physically hurts you the same way. It no longer physically and emotionally shows up the same way it did before. But if you choose, oh, you froze. Can you hear me? Oh, all right. I don't know where I cut out.
Oh, I think that, but we'll see. Sometimes Zoom taking it on, even if it looks frozen. So we'll see. Yeah, but you're absolutely right that people need to look at that. And but I think that probably we doing the similar things that we helping people to get out of that past emotions and what they get stuck there. So opening up and clear it out and let it go, it's the
Yeah.
only way forward. And
Mhm.
it's why I'm trying to give people hope, because so many people still believe that it's not possible, that they have to live with that, they have to learn to manage that, and
Mhm.
that's not really true. That we can let it go, we can open it up in different ways. People
Mhm.
using different techniques, but we can let it out, and when you let it out, then all these responses stopping, is it? And then it's much easier to manage the daily life, the children's and their actions, and not having that subconscious reaction like, oh fuck, I'm reacting from when I was little, not what they actually doing, is it?
100%,
So,
100%.
um, how long you usually work with people? To just give people idea how long it takes to change, transform, or find the new ways in life.
Yeah. You know what? It's different. I mean, it definitely depends on how committed the person is for the process. So initially, if I take on a new client who has experienced trauma, I want to make sure that they one are stable enough to go through it. Some people can talk about the trauma and their resiliency and their coping skills are so strong that you don't see much kickback from it. Other people the flashbacks will come up. Their ability to function lessens a little bit, right? So I want to make sure that I'd like to do gradual exposure and making sure that I'm teaching those nervous system regulation skills first, offering the psychoeducation. I'm such a nerd for psychoeducation, understanding like what is our brain actually doing and the amygdala versus, the thinking brain, and being able to bring some healing to that and some skills to that first. So once that emotional regulation foundation is strong, they are confident in their ability to identify a feeling, cope with the feeling, let it exist, let it out, right? Instead of putting it in the locked box. Then we start to gradually expose. What I might do is kind of um, explore what happened through the week in between session and what theme was there. Like whatever the trigger was, whatever the stressor was, there's usually a theme, and that theme is connected to the deeper root. So we'll gradually kind of be like, make the connection. And I do a lot of scaling as well. So if I want to make sure that in session, I pay attention to when they're starting to get dysregulated and be able to kind of stop, maybe do a meditation, maybe do a breath work, whatever works, for them. But ultimately, within the first, I would probably say 4 to 6 weeks after we do a lot of the psychoeducation and emotional regulation skills, and they feel safe speaking, there's a lot of healing in the first 4 to 6 weeks. Is it ongoing? Have I worked with clients and continue to work with clients for 2+ years just for the ongoing things that happen? Absolutely. But I think a lot of people, when they're committed to it in the first 4 to 6 weeks, you're going to notice a difference.
And that's a good news, is it? Because a lot of people have feeling that even if they will go for something, it will take years to get better. Or they were saying, oh, I tried so many different things, 10 years going, nothing changing. But I think that when we, as you say, when we really understand why these trauma responses are, what is that behind, what is that um, you know, connection in brain, and how we're reacting and how is it our body reacting, then it can be really quick, yeah. And quick in the way like, sorry, 6 months, 6 weeks, 6 months, it's still very quick compared to the decades of that. So I think it's very important to people to say that it is the change happening quite quickly, in the weeks or months, because a lot of people are worried that it will take, 5 years before they get better or something like that. And when we know uh, what to do if not. And I agree with you about that education, because I was saying that trauma is lack of education in a nutshell, because the brain just don't know, that our mind just don't know what else to do. So repeating the same which work as let's survival. But in the moment when we start giving the new information, new skills, new techniques, the mind is just like sponge for it, is it? Because they want to resolve it. All trauma responses are the mind want to get it out. The mind don't want to have it in. So when we give it any more info, wow, like it's going very quickly. So yeah. So what is kind of the main thing we should think that people are surprised when you tell them about how it's working? What is the most surprising info usually?
Um, it sounds oh, so I'm not crazy? That's usually the response I get. I don't like using that term, obviously, and then what's normal or typical or whatever. But that validation of, oh, I'm not the only one who feels like this. I'm so this is normal for me to feel this way. That's why I say like in the first 4 to 6 weeks, I can't physically see it being lifted, but there is a positive, there's something that happens, and I'm virtual, so I can't imagine how even more amazing it would be in person. When that heaviness is lifted, when I bring in the education and they're like, oh, it's like the elephant just disappears, it's lifted off of them, and it's so rewarding to see that. And it's just because I brought in some education that they could simply Google. But it's just,
Absolutely.
it's
Yeah,
different
I have
in a
same
way.
experience by doing it.
Mhm. Oh, you're back.
Yeah. So if people so you said that you're working just with the New Jersey, or are you doing some online programs for people around
Mhm.
the world who can join
Yeah.
in?
Yeah. So I'm working on figuring out how to market the programs, right? That's the biggest challenge in the coaching program, is being able to say, hey, I have a workshop. Oh, can you hear me?
Don't
Can you hear me
worry,
now?
I will do a lot of editing. Somehow
No
today,
problem.
day
No
with
problem. You're good. You're good. So in terms of like
okay,
all
so I
over
will
the, sorry.
again, I don't know. Yeah, so are you doing any programs which are available from people all around the world?
Yeah, yeah. So for now, I have some things developed. I have a trauma-informed program that is mostly developed as a self-study. If people want coaching with it, I am definitely available for one-to-one coaching. I haven't marketed that part a lot yet, but on my website, on the homepage, it's called the Rooted Parent Method, and it's all about the psychoeducation for the parents. So this is more of like a parenting program that it's 5 courses. There's a bonus course too, but it's five courses where it takes you through the psychoeducation of trauma, really like what is emotional intelligence in real life, not just like, hey, no other feelings or whatnot. It's in real life with children. Generally, it's probably designed for people with children like 18 months to maybe like 8-ish years, depending on cognitive abilities. Um, and it goes through your own triggers, parenting triggers, why you're triggered, what to do about it, the nervous system resets. It talks about the big feelings of your child and what's happening with your child when they are experiencing a meltdown, what to do about it, what to say. Also, the fact that we're going to yell and we're going to make a mistake. What do we do after that? And how can we make that a connection moment? I go over a lot of like sensory needs, and the way that, not all kids don't regulate by doing deep breathing and meditations. That's not how kids work, right? So how can we really teach our kids to regulate and give them those needs? Transitioning from, morning routines, evening routines without that big power struggle is the big thing. So it goes through that. It's really me speaking. There is a PowerPoint. You don't need to see the PowerPoint. I guess that's just for, kicks and giggles there. But more of the knowledge is just whatever it is that I'm speaking. And I also made workbooks to go along with it, which legitimately is the thing that I'm saying, all the things that I'm saying. but a lot of application spots so you can apply it in your own life. There's the education, this is why, this is what to do, this is your life, what do we do now? So it's great to give all the knowledge, but ultimately we want that positive change. So that's why I designed that particular program. I am in the process of developing some workshops and additional online courses to reach everyone as well. But the marketing of coaching is I'm still working on that. But anyway, that's definitely in the mix as well. I just published a book for moms, and it's not like it's not like a parenting book. About it's about understanding how motherhood changed you, obviously in a positive way, but also the parts that you're like, wait, who am I? I was this person and now I'm this person and I'm mom, but there's so much more to me. So it's on Amazon. It just got published the beginning of the week. But yeah, so I'm definitely excited about it. So it's called Unwritten Stories: A Mother's Journey on Becoming. And each chapter takes you through the different stages of motherhood, the raw version of it, what really happens, not just what science says about, a little bit of science because I love the science, but not just like, oh yay, babies, they're so great, you're so blessed. Yes, absolutely. But man, is there some stuff we hide? Is there some stuff we're experiencing that people aren't understanding? And at the end of each chapter, there's the exercises and the reflections for that healing. And it takes through the shifts in relationships, friends, your husband, whatever partner, wife, whatever you're working with, right? It takes you through those shifts to bring healing to it, and the relationship you have with yourself, to rediscover alongside motherhood who you are. So I'm really excited about that. And it's very inexpensive. So I wanted to make sure everyone could get a copy of it and actually bring some healing. So check that out.
Oh, it sounds amazing, absolutely amazing, because we know that having the baby are changing who we are, but also triggering a lot of people because there start to coming these thoughts like, I cannot live up to experience of my mother, or I don't want to be as my mother, or
Oh, yeah,
mixture and whiteness, or like
absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
feelings of insecurity, not knowing first time, and that actually even doesn't matter if it's second time and third time, because it's always new, it's always different, it's always that. And kids are not coming with the manual, so little manual helpful, every little helps, is it? But I think that what I see in that is most important, that when the women are okay with them being mothers, they do process what they're dealing with, they can have that right bond with their children, and they can be there for them to help them through going through things. Because it's not about just sheltering children from the life happens, but be able to help them to cope and help you cope and knowing how to deal with emotions. And I was saying that it's all starting with the dummy. So I'm big on not using the dummy for people, because dummy is kind of saying to children like, oh, I don't want to know what you feel. I don't want to know that you are hungry. I don't want to know that you are tired. Just shut up. so it's about that actually listen since they are little, is it? Since they are little, to listen to what is that need they have. And that can be only done by mothers if they are okay with themselves, and they don't feel stressed and overwhelmed and feeling that they're failing every moment of the day. So that's amazing. I will definitely push to the link to the episode, the links to your book, and that look to that myself. My son is big now, but always looking for more info from other people.
Yeah, hey,
So
it goes through the empty nest part too as well. So you're solid. It goes through all of it.
yeah, no, I did have to admit that it did hit me. I didn't expect it, watching the emotions, everything, but that when my son moved to the university, it did hit me. I did realize that, that emptiness syndrome, especially because he took everything with him. It's not even that I have the room to go ponder to, it's like nothing. That seeing him regularly, but yeah, it's completely different. And again, my identity changes it because I'm not that needed someone which is great. I'm very happy that he's successful, independent. But on the other side, he doesn't need it. So it's all that emotions, is it? Like it's coming a combo and mixture, and all are fine, but we need to work through them. Uh,
Yeah.
so, Amy, I always ask for before we close the one question, what would be one advice you would give to people who maybe struggle with trauma, maybe struggle in a relationship or especially in a relationship with their children, and they feeling like I'm doing something wrong or I'm crazy or like I'm feeling that I'm failing. What you would give me like one advice what they can do?
Oh man, I am never good at this because I speak a lot. So I'm going to try to not keep it concise, but I think what I try to teach is being patient with yourself. I know that there's a whole lot to that word. Being patient with your children, validating, understanding, also realistic expectations. Again, I can't do just one thing, I'm sorry. But realistic expectations, I think it all ties together. The idea that you can have all the therapy and all the skills and all the things, but you cannot change the chaos, especially with children. You can learn how to stay calm in the chaos, and you can learn how to be the parent you wish you had in the chaos. And I'll give an example. With my children, there's a lot of things that they react to that I have a 6-year-old and a 3-year-old. And there's a lot of things they react to that I don't agree with as to why they're upset or the way that they're choosing to be upset. But that's not my choice. That's their feeling. The more I try to control it, the worse it gets. And that is my own ability to understand what I'm experiencing. Did I eat today? Did I sleep enough? Did I have a hard day at work? Am I taking my feelings out on my children? Right? So that pause and be intentional with yourself first, I guess maybe is more where I'm coming, right? Understanding your own feelings, that they are okay, and it will shift. It is with that intention is definitely going to shift. My 3-year-old, he doesn't want to put on pants. So in the mornings I get a little frustrated because I'm like, you can't go to school without pants. We work it out and it's a little frustrating. But if I just sit and hold him and tell him, it's okay, I know you don't like pants. We can take them off soon, right? And he's like, okay. And he doesn't like it, but he does it. Or if I'm just like, put on your pants, we gotta go, right? It's chaos and we're late. And I know it's a silly example, but you could use that for so many things. You don't have to agree with your kids, but they're allowed to have their feelings and they're allowed to be heard. But we have to check ourselves first before
Yeah.
we have the ability to do that. That was, again, long answer. I'm sorry.
No, it's absolutely fine, but you are absolutely right that's the main things which I also often reminding people when I think about their children. It's like how you would like to be treated. Do you would like this kind of behavior? Do you would like to be told like you would not like your boss is telling you like why you're not ready? And you would say like just speak to me like that. Is it? But and then we are surprised and my children was like, just speak to me like that. I was like, oh you. So I think that when it's about the respect and when we have the mutual respect, they
Mhm.
respect us,
Oh
we
yeah.
respect them,
Mhm.
and then we can actually help them to whatever happens to
Mhm.
go through so they don't develop trauma responses, help them to deal with them and break that cycle of trauma to passing on. So, Amy, I want to thank you so much for
Yeah,
patient with
thank
me.
you.
We'll do some cutting,
Yeah, of course. No
but
worries. No
it
worries. I
it
appreciate
was
being here.
really amazing to have you as the guest, and I'm really looking forward to see what more you bring into the world because I think that what you're doing is very important
Yeah,
and
thank
will can help a lot of people.
Sure, sure. I appreciate it. Thank you.
See you everybody in next. You will find in description of the episode. You will find the links for any website and also for her new book, so you can look ponder around if it will help you. But the message of the podcast Way of the Childhood Drama is hope. Hope that it can be changed. Hope that you can recover and that you can help also your family. So if you don't want to do it for yourself, do it for your children or for your partners and then you will reap the benefits from it also. But do it. You don't have to stay in feeling of overwhelm or flashbacks or panic attacks or any trauma responses or feeling very unhappy or in not good relationships. So I will see you next time. And
Thank you for listening to Way Out of Childhood Trauma. If today's episode resonated with you, visit your steps to explore resources, training, and support designed to help you understand trauma, reconnect with your inner strengths, and rewrite your story. Until next time, take your next step